While in my opinion Call of Duty Modern Warfare's online multiplayer was a return to form for the franchise with its engaging, fun and well thought out gameplay, the campaign got me thinking about why I never tend to finish them. I remember when I completed the World War II campaign a few years ago and thinking that most Call of Duty campaigns are the same but with different locations and different villains. And for God's sakes, can we stop killing Russians? I'm not surprised they're pissed off with this franchise. Now, what I mean by the same is that every campaign is basically a Hollywood action movie with big explosions and generic corridor-to-corridor shoot-'em-up gameplay that gets boring as it lacks substance in the story to keep me engaged and interested throughout. It's a shame, as I grew up in the golden era when Call of Duty was at its peak, with Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, and then it started to get old for me around Call of Duty Ghosts. I guess you could say I just grew out of it. Anyway, when I saw that Modern Warfare campaign would focus on the fight against ISIS, I thought it would be different and interesting, but unfortunately it falls into the same trap, and because of that, falls short of becoming one of the best Call of Duty campaigns in the franchise. Now, this campaign actually does a lot well, and I did enjoy it. For me, it's definitely up there with the better Call of Duty campaigns. I will leave my tier list on the video now, so you can see what are my favourite CODs and what are my least favourite. However, I did have issues with it, and it just left me feeling disappointed, but I'll circle back to that. So the general premise of the story in this game is that when a covert operation to recover shipments of dangerous chemical gases headed for Urzikstan goes wrong, as it is intercepted by unknown hostiles who kill Marine raiders and escape with the gas, Alex, one of the playable characters, and his handler, Station Chief Kate, requests the assistance of Captain Price in recovering the chemicals and de-escalating the situation with Russia. 22 hours later, a group of suicide bombers affiliated with the terrorist organisation ISIS attack Piccadilly Circus in London. SAS Sergeant Kyle, who is another playable character, is dispatched to contain the situation with the assistance of Price and local police forces. Afterwards, Alex is sent to Urzikstan to meet up with rebel leader Farah Karim, who agrees to join forces in tracking down the chemicals in exchange for aid in overthrowing the Russian forces led by General Roman Barkov. Now, this is where my issues come in with this game. Why Russia again? Yes, I know they're not perfect, but as far as I know, most countries in real life, including Russia, are fighting against ISIS. Why do we need this constant stream of Russian baddies and the picture that they are awful people with this silly subplot in a game about ISIS? Is it necessary? No. But anyway, I'll sum this game up in a few sentences. Missions that focus on ISIS are good, engaging and realistic. Missions that focus on Russia are boring and predictable. It's like when you were a kid and you went to the library and your mum would say pick a book, but you wouldn't want to pick a book because they all look the same and because you don't give a shit about reading. You just wanted to go home and play a game. That's what the Russian missions are like. It's like standing in a library and being bored. Now, there's even a mission with a little girl where you have to escape from Russian forces, but the problem is that it took away any tension that I had. Basically, Russians invade the fake version of Syria and start killing children and families because the writers basically make this predictable move where they set up the Russians to be terrorists as well, and that's why you go after Barkov. Basically, the Russians turn into terrorists because of ISIS are terrorists. So it's like, oh yeah, two wrongs make a right. Anyway, then we get this generic revenge plot about Russians. Now this is where my disappointment comes in, as there's another mission in this game where SAS forces led by Price and Garrick raid an ISIS-occupied townhouse where they learn the location of their leader, the Wolf. Now, I bring this mission up because the stealth missions are the best. They're tense, make you feel like you're kind of there and they're engaging, and it really does beg the question. Why couldn't the main plot just focus on the Wolf? He's the big bad, and the game is basically based around kind of Iraq and the Afghanistan war, whilst also fighting with terrorists on home soil. This for me would have been far more engaging, and more importantly, would have been different. It's like they thought the plot is too simple, so we'll have to throw in this other subplot about Russians for some reason. I mean, I would have totally been down for it just to be about ISIS and kind of a real world situation rather than this Hollywood stuff. For example, take Clean House. Now, and even the mission in Piccadilly, and then you could even have some missions in, I don't know, across Afghan and Iraq. So, take the mission with a little girl, for example. For me, it just fails, and the mission like that should stay with you after playing. The problem is that by the end of the mission with baby Farah, you realise it links back to the silly Russian subplot, which then just goes back to another bland Russian villain. Like, come on, it's just silly near the end, and I think they just thought they were being really clever by having this plot twist, but it's just really annoying. It did get me thinking though, what if Call of Duty took a leaf from Spec Ops: The Lines book? I recently played that game and loved it, but what if instead of this Hollywood crap, you made it about the impacts of war and actually tell a story about the people who go there, and that players are actually going to remember and be like, oh yeah, that campaign was really good. Now if you played Spec Ops, I'm guessing you remember the white phosphorus scene, where Walker kills a ton of civilians and then you watch as he realises what he's done. If not, spoiler alert. Well, okay, bear with me. But what about this example? The game opens with 12 people sat in a circle with someone telling a story of how they got to where they are. The game then cuts to a flashback and you basically play out the horrific experience of that soldier. For example, let's say one character goes on a secret mission to kill a terrorist leader in their house, so the Clean House mission, and whilst he's there he accidentally kills a child. Meanwhile, another character tells a story of how he was only 1 out of 5 of his comrades to survive a mission in Syria whilst barely making it out alive. You can make this mission maybe a survival mission in the mountains where a sniping mission goes horribly wrong. The next is someone who couldn't save a comrade and has to live with the guilt. Basically, you play out these scenarios but also see the aftermath of what it does to the soldiers leading up to the therapy sessions. Then have all these stories linked to each other in a big or small way, as ultimately they are all fighting the same enemy, the wolf, highlighting that all soldiers' mental health is severely impacted once they have been to war. Now you probably noticed while I was saying all that I was just describing missions that are already in the game, and they sound similar. And that's because, well, they pretty much are. I think Activision had the right missions, they just used them in the wrong way. I think that's the difference between Call of Duty and Spec Ops. Spec Ops wanted to tell a story about the hardship of war and what it's really like and what it can do to people. Call of Duty just wants to show over-the-top explosions with the occasional serious cutscene which holds absolutely no weight because of the rest of the game's choices. It's basically the Fast and Furious of the gaming industry, and I think it's time for a change up. Anyway, that's my rant over. In summary, it's an entertaining but not weighty campaign that I actually completed for once, and it is the best in a long time but falls short of the basically being great because the developers have an obsession with Russia and they missed a really good opportunity to tell a compelling story. Instead we got Hollywood action. Even though the campaign annoys me though, I would definitely recommend this game because the missions that are good will make you want more of the same and will stay with you. Unfortunately, you have to put up with the other nonsense, although the multiplayer is solid and fun. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and comment, and until next time, bye.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.